It's Shavonna too. I'm sorry. Hey, Shavonna.
Live 2.0.
Mic check. Can you hear us, guys?
Yes.
I hear you.
Hey y'all. Good night, ladies.
Good night.
Hello. Good night.
Okay. Can you hear me, Shavana?
I sure can.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Welcome, guys. Shaquila, check.
Hey, how are you? Yes,
I'm
I can hear
doing
you.
great. Welcome, guys. Welcome to Victory Session Live 2.0. I'm so glad to have you tonight. We are just gonna dive right into it. Shavana, do you just want
Yep.
to introduce yourself to the people?
Hi, people. I'm Shavonna.
Hi.
My internet handle is Sarah Shabazz. I am a 7-year domestic violence survivor and turned advocate, hyper vigilant advocate. I am an author. I do public speaking. And yeah, I'll get into my not for profit in a little bit. But to give you an idea, I do emergency transport for DV victims.
Okay. Shavana, do you want to just share your experience with us? What was it like being in a 7 year abusive relationship?
Ugh. You think I'd get a quick answer as many times I got asked that. Um, it was torture. It was slow built torture, especially because as you go further into it, you get deeper into the pit of abuse. And the thought of getting out, sometimes it seems like it's never going to happen. I had to endure physical abuse, financial abuse, sexual abuse, complete isolation from family, mental manipulation, public disgrace, you name it, everything that's not death I've probably encountered, even though I've definitely came close dealing with my abuser.
And your abuser, this was one of your children's father, correct?
Yes, my oldest child's father, who
Okay.
I still have to deal with every other weekend because of court order visitation.
What is that like? What is that process like for those who are currently going through something similar? And like, what advice would you share to someone who might be going through that or about to go through that?
I will say to prepare someone that's about to go through something like that with the court, first and foremost, don't expect the system to be of assistance. I will say that right now. You would think that an abuser would be restricted, even though they don't want parental alienation. We're not for that. There should be safe zones mandated for pickup and drop off. Even though I have court orders that state he shouldn't talk to me outside of a text message, he still finds ways
Wow.
to get through to me by third party. He's begun the process of abuse by proxy. So
Mm.
he uses police officers to gain access to where I live.
Oh,
He,
wow.
because we don't file petitions with thieves in New York City,
Mhm.
he's able to drag me to court as many times as he wants to gain physical access to me.
Wow.
And the courts don't look into that. He's used ACS to track me down. It's a lot. And it's honestly it's opening wounds and re-victimizing all of those of us who've endured domestic violence before heading to the courts. It's making it worse for us and harder for us to heal,
Wow.
as well as it's putting a strain on the parental aspect. Especially if there's a child involved, it's hard to be a great parent when you're worried all the time or your guard is up all the time.
Right. Right.
It makes it very difficult. A lot of the times the courts will try to make it like we're unstable or we're
Mhm.
not fit because of our reactions in court, but there's no way to be calm in court
Mhm.
when your abuser within arm reach. And the
Right.
court officers won't stop them from approaching you. The judge won't listen to you if you're not on the petitioner side.
Right.
They don't want to hear you. So it makes it hard.
I just want to take you back once, a few backwards. Let's go back a little. What finally prompted you to say, I got to get out of here. I got to leave this dude. I got to get away from this dude. Get me out of here.
When my daughter, who was 1 at the time, seen him choking me, that did it. That was the last straw. You don't want your child to see you in that position, even though she's 1 at the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the last time I want to have my daughter make eye contact with me.
Right.
I had to leave. I had to leave for her, for me. I had to.
Right. Shaquila, are you still here with us?
Yes, ma'am. I'm here.
Okay. Do you want to answer that same question? Okay, go ahead and just do a quick intro of yourself and how have you overcome your abuse?
Hi, my name is Shaquilla Williams Annie and I'm 31 years old. I'm a mom of 2. I'm a wife. I'm a believer of Christ, and I'm an author of of a book called Cage Without a Voice. I am a ZV survivor, 7 years now, which I thank God for. And what was the other question? How did I overcome?
What was the final straw for you in your situation? Shavana just explained to us, that for her it was her daughter seeing her actually being physically abused. What was
that was actually the same thing for me. My last straw was me actually pulling out a knife on him. And my little 1-year-old daughter at the time, my 4-year-old daughter at the time, sorry, not 1 year old, at the time was like, Mommy, Mommy. She was screaming and crying. And that for me, because it almost, because she jumped in the middle, so it almost caught her as well. So for me, I would say that was my final draw. I'm like, no kid should endure or see a man, that they call their dad, put their hand on their mother and they say they love them, and then in the next breath, they're, fighting them physically. So that was my last draw, August 17th, back in 2017. So.
Okay. Guys, for anyone that's just tuning in, you're listening to Victory Sessions Live 2.0. We have Shakira and Shavana on the air, and they are just giving us their testimony, how they overcame domestic violence. Ladies, all through this month, we've been covering domestic violence and breast cancer awareness. Tonight, we've been waiting for for a while now to speak to Shavana.
Sorry.
Yeah, every week it's been something new, but you are here, sis, and we're happy to have you. And Shaquilla, happy to have you here as well. Could you guys give us a little history of where you are coming from in terms of, meeting your mate, just the experience, just a little background for our listeners.
Who wants to go? You want to go first, Shavana? Or
I guess.
Okay.
In regards to meeting my child's father, is that what you're asking?
Yeah. So, when you bring
Initial
us back
meet,
to the meeting,
Okay.
and the
I gotta
sweet
open up
talk.
Pandora's
Right.
box.
Yeah,
Okay.
a little bit. Sorry,
So-
honey. We'll cover you under the blood.
It's okay. It's all right. I mean, meeting him is like meeting anybody else. At the moment, they don't have signs. I say this every time I speak about this.
Right.
They don't have signs. You never really see these flags the first initial few meetings.
There was no flags, no red dots.
No, nothing. He was a typical dude that was in the store that I shopped at, and he asked for my number. I said, okay. I gave it to him. No one knows where these things will end up.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see anything really for the first few encounters.
Mm-hmm.
And what I now know to be the red flags, I ignored when they started to surface.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't dig. I don't have to be in people's business. That's the one time I should have been in someone's business. He was on paper. For those who don't know what that means, he was on parole. I didn't know what he went to jail for.
Mm-hmm.
And when his ex-girlfriend reached out to me first I'm like, who the hell is this and why does she have my number?
Right.
Didn't want to hear anything from her, and she pretty much was like, what was sent to say, hey, chick, wake up. You don't want to go down that path. I just went down there.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
So he's an habitual
And
user.
yeah, I seen that when something said, hey, play I Spy and go look into his records.
Wow.
And I'll say this for all who's listening, please do the background checks. They
Amen.
do have things.
Amen.
Look at these things. Had I paid attention, I love my daughter, but she would have been for somebody else.
Mhm.
Period. I didn't pay attention to how he moved at first. I figured he was being protective when he was really being controlling,
Right.
especially when it came down to my money.
Mm.
And I worked for the city first and for the state. It went from, oh, let me hold a couple dollars to what happened to your check, or I need this, and my debit card would be gone.
Oh.
My tax return would come in, and you'd be upset because I work hard for my money. I like to spend. I didn't have a chick or a child at the moment, so I wanted to blow ends. And it would be a problem. My vehicle was more his vehicle. And I can tell you one thing, those who know me in my cars, the car I have now, why I treasure it so much, nobody touched it but me.
Right.
When someone could take control of material things, and it's like it strips you down to where it's just you, then they start to control you. You start to lose you.
Right.
I started to lose myself. And I think that's what blinded me to everything, because it's like, here I am trying to be the perfect girlfriend, to not have any confrontation, not knowing that he was conditioning me
Wow.
to take what he was going to give me. So those 7 years, looking back at it now, it's like, Dad, I really should have seen those flags.
Right.
But you get so caught up. Now I have a 7-year-old by this man who she asks me the questions now, why I don't talk to her dad, why me and her dad don't get along. She just recently came to me and said, Mommy, what did Daddy do to you?
Oh wow. Yeah.
How do I answer my 7-year-old?
Right.
Honestly.
Wow.
I have to wait till she gets a little older to really sit her down. And she sees my pictures. She comes to the events that I speak at.
Right.
But at the age of 7, how do I say, your daddy beat me?
Right. That's hard.
Like, no, I can't do that yet.
Right.
And if I do speak to her, it's like, how do I make it to where she'll understand?
Right.
And she won't fear her father.
Right.
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 And he won't see I used her as a vice in court.
Right. Yeah. That's a really tough situation for
Yeah.
everybody to be in.
Just pray and hope the answer surfaces.
Yeah, I would definitely pray and ask God just how to, even begin a conversation with your 7-year-old, about her own father.
And these are things that we have to have conversations about, because she has to grow up.
Right.
If I hide it from her, God forbid she'll walk down that path, and I don't need that. She does not need to bring home a man like that.
Right.
Shavonna, you say that she comes to some of the events, and I've seen them. They're so adorable. I mean, in time she's gonna figure it out,
Yeah, in time when she's not forced to cuff, because I give her headphones, even though she's there,
Yeah.
I don't let her listen.
Right.
Okay.
So when she's like, I want to say maybe 11, 12, I'll expose her a little bit. Like, she'll have to pay attention. But I think it's kind of like preserving the child's innocence.
Right.
In a way.
And sometimes we actually think that we are, preserving their innocence, and because they're not with us 24/7, we sometimes that it comes out of our control. We're not, I remember certain things I didn't want to share with my kids, and they would go to school and come back with it. So,
I do know when she goes to her dad and comes back, and she'll say, well, Daddy said this about you. And I'm like, don't listen to your father.
Right.
I have to deal with that because, as I said, he uses her.
Right.
And I have to completely split the conversation so she doesn't think about it as much. I know in the back of her head, she's probably wondering, is there any truth to this?
That's unfortunate.
When she gets older, she'll understand.
Fully, yeah. Shaquilla, go ahead, sis. Tell us about
Well, for me, to piggyback off what Shavana has said, I didn't see any red flags either. Because first of all, you know my story. In my book, I was, grew up. I was promiscuous anyway. I didn't have a father figure in my life, and every man that I came in contact with was older. So I looked up to them more so, not as a father, but as a protector, as someone that provided, so forth and so on. So the way I met my children's father was he used to deliver to the college that I graduated from, because he owns a business in New York, a Jamaican restaurant. And, sweet words, food, got in my ears, numbers exchanged, because Jamaican food is awesome. It's amazing, And, little sweet words, little numbers passed, and we called each other. He courted me, as in the olden people would do. They court each other. And then one thing led to another. One time, just laying down with him, I got pregnant. And, like I said, I didn't see any red flags, but like Shavana also said as well, I guess they were there. I just ignored them and just was like looking at, oh, he's a provider, he's treating me good, he's buying me X, Y, and Z, and he's successful. And I look at it because he had his own business, he didn't have no issues, had his own place, so forth and so on. I had those two of my own, but he just, had, I guess, more financial-wise, he had more than me at that moment. And like I said, one thing led to another. What raised the flag for me, though, is when I got pregnant with my first daughter with him, and when he started to, where you're going, what you're doing every 5 minutes. And it went from, oh, he's looking out for me, no one else looked out for me before, to the point where don't go out, don't do this. So it escalated over time when I had my daughter. So like I said, the red flags probably were there. I just didn't look at them because I was looking for a father figure or that protector, if you will, in a sense, to protect and look after. So at the moment, I didn't look for no red flags. And normally I'm nosy, so I would. But, I did now, Right. With my husband, I went through the whole 9 yards, because you're not coming with me with no ifs and buts, no red flags. I don't want to hear anything. And, no one's perfect. But, also no one's perfect either,
Right.
But I just didn't. I'm very nosy now. I want to know your family. I want to sit down. I want to talk to people. I want to know people, that don't know you, that know you, that don't know that I spoke to you, to tell me about you. So I'm like that now. And before I got married, I had to make sure everything was, cross their I's, dot their T's, because I have 2 children. That is not my husband's, but they love him dearly. But I got to make sure that they're okay, because I don't need another abusive person to come in my life, and they're around my girls. So, I just thank God that he answered my prayers, and, I got a great husband, thank God, but like I said, at the beginning, I didn't see any red flags with my children's father. Now that I look back, I'm like, oh my God, they were right in your face.
Wow.
You ignored it.
Yeah. Can I ask you ladies a question? So, Shaquila, you mentioned that the absentee father played a big role in you staying in that relationship. What about you, Shafana? Was that any, any reason for you to continue to be in the relationship? Was there an absentee father or,
I hate to have to say it, but not having my dad played a huge part.
Right.
Because there's nothing to emulate if there's nothing there.
Right.
Yep.
No.
And unfortunately,
example.
It's like that seems to be the stigma with a lot of the women who don't have dads. It's like we're searching for something to fill a space.
Right.
And it's like you keep trying each piece until you find the one that fits.
Right.
Which is a sad situation, but it's reality.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's kind of why a lot of people in these situations, they do stay, because it's like, you got these kids now. Do you want them to go down that same road where, to be honest, now that I've been through it, I have no problem with my kids not having their dads, their biological dads, if it means that their life will be better.
Right.
Yeah.
because it's like you don't want to have a toxic individual in that situation for the sake of seeing their present.
Yeah.
And I can say it's a blessing to have a father figure for them now, because my stronger half would take anything for us, and I thank God for him.
Right.
Wow.
And I'm glad that we've been through the storms that we had to go through, because now it's like we could weather anything.
Yeah.
For him to even sit there while I go through this
Wow.
And it's crazy.
is a testimony in itself, and I give him that credit. Because to take up the responsibility of somebody else's kids,
Right.
such as my kids, with this situation going on,
Yeah.
that's a lot.
Yeah.
And it's not an easy task.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But yeah, my dad being gone definitely played a role in what took place.
See, Shavana, we heard with Shaquilla how, you know, when she met her husband right now, that she went through the whole protocol. How is that for you? Is that the same? I mean, I'm not sure you're in a relationship right now, or you know, just
Yes,
anybody
I am.
coming in after him. How was it for them? You know,
It,
for you getting
it
to
was
know them?
hard. It was hard. Like, it's hard,
Right.
but at the same time, because of what I've endured, even though I don't take what I've been through and I put it on him like he's to blame, there's little things that pop up like, I don't like how that looks, or this feels too close to this past situation, so I end up beating on his chest.
Right.
Not physically, but word-wise, like I take things out on him that I shouldn't.
Right.
He takes it. He understands,
Right.
but it's a lot to heal in that aspect. It's very hard because the trust isn't really there. Even though I trust him with everything at first, I was like, "Who's this person? Why are you like this? Why do you do this? Why don't you do this?" It's like, wait,
Right.
you pretty much put him into that box with all these other people
Right.
that ain't done nothing to you.
Right.
So you pretty much you disqualified him before he even
Before
took the
you
test.
enter the scene.
Wow.
Right. So
Like, it was so bad that the wedding was almost called off. We're still here. We're still rocking. But sheesh, like, I look at that like I could have definitely did a lot different.
Kudos to him for having that patience, and you know, for
I'm sure he's
understanding,
listening.
because not enough men who stick around for that mess, right?
So since we're on that note, how was the healing process? Did any of you guys actually saw a therapist? What was that process like, that season where, you know, I've gone through this? You both actually spent 7 years, you know, enduring, you know, this abuse. And so what was the healing, you know, after fact? How was the healing for you? What was the process like to wholeness?
For me, I went to therapy immediately because I was messed up. And the reason why I say I was messed up is because the man that I entrusted to love me, to be there, to care for me, and it also piggybacked to the rejection of my father not being there, you know, it left me alone. It left me lost. It left me confused to, you know, why he would take out whatever he was going through, you know, on me. But long story short, I got immediately with the counselor, me and my children, and I began to heal through that process. And even when I was in a DV shelter, that's when I began to write my book there, and it was therapeutic for me because I really didn't really want to open up to anybody but her, because at the end of the day, I didn't want to hear it down the line. You know, I can leave my issues with her, and that will be just with her because it's confidential. But I'm not going to lie, piggyback off of what Shavana said, I do take stuff out on my husband, and he's so patient. He's great, and that was one of my prayers to God, to give me a husband that is great, to have patience, because boy, I wouldn't stick around if I even gave him the stuff that I gave him. So with that being said, you know, he's patient. He's like, I know, you know, what you endured, and I say kudos to you because wow, that was a lot, but also in the same breath, he's there healing with me, because I'm still, you know, got a little bit of patches from that relationship. I'm not going to say I'm totally ill, because I'm not, you know, but he's there healing with me, praying through it, and showing me that I'm not like that. I'm totally different. So keep that past in the past. You can't go further if you're still stuck there. So this is our future, you know. So like I said, I thank God for the grace that God gave me, you know, for him to tolerate and to have patience with me. So I did go through therapy, and it was very therapeutic. And like I said, I even talked to my therapist from this day from New York, and she's like, I'm so proud of you. You know, she even came to my book signing. She's like, I'm so proud of you because you stood your ground and you fought back. You didn't use it as a crutch to say, whoa, it's me.
Right.
You took it. You said the process was necessary, and you're using it as a testimony to help other people. So she said, I'm proud of you, you know. So that was beautiful. You know, that was a beautiful thing to have someone to talk to and didn't hear your business down the line, you know, and left it there. But I recommend everybody that's out there listening, I recommend therapy. You're not crazy. You're not going insane. You know, like my children's father would say, it's something that you need, something that if you don't want to do that, I'm not going to say pray because, yeah, prayer is one thing, but you need an outlet. I'm sorry. So whatever your outlet may be, writing, singing, poetry, whatever, but get it out. Don't keep it bottled up inside.
Right. Because the more you keep it in, is less it's uncovered, and it's more healing that has to take place. And I always say, anything that you don't address, you won't overcome it.
Yep.
And unfortunately, our culture doesn't always provide a safe place for us to talk about domestic violence. You know, we talk about everything but these things, and I never realized how actually popular or common, they don't even want to use that word, but common.
And it's funny. It's funny that you said your culture, because my children's mother was a product of DV for 20 years.
Wow. Oh, wow. And he came and
he
did
witnessed,
it.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Sometimes
because
that's actually what happens.
Yeah.
Because it was swept under the rug.
Right.
She never talked about it. She never discussed it with him. She just made things, you know, what stays in our house stays in our house. So they're very private people.
You can't keep things in the house. Sometimes you need to let it be known, because then when things go too far south, it's, but they look like such a loving couple. We didn't know.
Right.
Yeah, because nobody talked.
Nobody talked. Yeah. Look like a happy home. In the meantime, but inside there's a lot of turmoil. And so what happens is that because it was never addressed, the son came and, you know, emulated the same thing.
Yeah.
So
Just growing up in Jamaica, like, you would see this stuff happening right next to you, right in front of you. Like, people would just crowd around and watch. It would be like, you know, oh, look, they're fighting. Like,
and once a saying, seeing blind, hearing deaf.
Right. That's
and that has to stop.
Yeah.
It has to stop.
Yeah. Amen. Because, you know, our children see this, God forbid, and they think that it's okay. And I refuse.
Well, that's what I wanted to. I wanted to ask Shaquilla, how do you?
Yes.
So you both have two girls. It's amazing. You
yes.
have so many similarities.
Yes.
Two girls. Shaquilla, how do you? Do they know that it's their dad? Do they know the story?
I'm not gonna lie to you. My daughter listens to my YouTube channel, and my daughter have read my book, the oldest one. Oh, wow. The little one is not too familiarized with it, but the older one actually read the book, and she actually was there, like I said, when I almost went to stab him with the knife. She said, Mommy, do you remember? And it's so strange that we think kids don't remember things, but to be honest with you, they're like a sponge. So they adapt to everything. And my daughter said, remember, Mommy, when the time when you called the cops on Daddy because you guys were fighting? And I'm like, girl, you were only 4 years old. How did you know that? Oh, yeah. But she knew that. She knew that. Yeah. So, and she knows that is the reason why we're not together today, because of his anger issues and his hands. So the oldest one knows fully in detail what happened, what went on, and so forth and so on. Okay, like Shavonna said, I wouldn't go and speak to her right now, but down the line, I'm going to have that open, open table, or sit down and have that open floor with her and be like, Sanaya, X, Y, and Z, and what type of men to watch out for, what type of red flags, so forth and so on. So she wouldn't have to go down that path. But, the oldest one, she's really in tune on what took place and what happened.
Yeah, wow. So kids they're amazing. They amaze me all the time. And for Shavonna, I have a feeling that she knows everything. This is what I'm telling you.
I'm pretty sure, but she's just not ready to tell me that she understands it, and I'm like not ready for her to even announce that she gets it.
Right. No, one day she's just gonna come to you and say, "Mommy, I know exactly what it is." Okay, and it's fine. It's.
See, I'd rather she came to me, but the spirit child that I have is gonna go to him and ask him why. This is where I kind of I'm kind of iffy, because there's already been incidents where he's said certain things and she'd try to challenge him. But then she'd come back to me because the way he'd speak to her would break her.
Right, right.
Wow.
So I know if that ever happens and he does break her, this might be the last interview we get to do. I'm sorry.
Jesus.
I mean that with everything in me, because I know the kind of person that he is.
Right.
And he hates to be put into a position where he has to speak on what he's done.
Right.
My daughter's not ready for him. Not on that level.
Oh my God.
What I wanted to ask you guys, right? Just how did you guys get to this point? Like, what did it take for you to be able to? You're both authors. Shavonna has a memoir.
Yeah, I'm working on my memoir.
Working on your memoir.
Surviving My Scars.
And you had an article.
I have one anthology. I have an article in a magazine, and there's another anthology coming soon as all that's taken care of. Oh, you know what it is? To get to this point, you have to just stand up and say enough is enough. Like, I'm not dying like this. Like, I'm not gonna have my last remembrance be me running or me still getting beat on. Like, it has to stop.
Right.
My mother ain't raised me to be weak. That was never in my genetics.
Amen.
So, for me to succumb to somebody who is beneath me, who try to bring me to be beneath him, nah. Sometimes you got to snap out of it, and it's easier said. I got to where I had to snap out of it, where I had to say, "Yo, get back to yourself. This was not you.
Right.
You were a scholar. You run businesses. You know how to ace anything that's put in front of you. You never crumbled. What is this? Who is this?" You stop putting your clothes together. You stop doing your hair. You stop doing your makeup. You stop being you. Where did you go?
That's that lost identity, right? That
Listen, like, how do I teach my children to be something that I can't be?
Right. Especially with girls, you have to be strong, especially in the society that we are currently in. We have to stand tall as mothers, and so our children can be separate and not trying to fit in, know who they are. What about you, Shaquila? How did you get to that point? What did it take? And my follow-up question is, what role did your faith play in getting you to this point?
First and foremost, like I said, I did therapy. I had a support group for mothers that, that went through a domestic abuse when I was in the domestic violence shelter. So I had a lot of people in my, in my circle that supported me. But one for me, I had to wake up and look in the mirror and say, Shaquilla, love yourself. if nobody don't love you, you got to love yourself no matter what. Because, like I said, I lost my identity. I lost who I was as a person. You know, before I met him, I was more outgoing. I wasn't eating as much, but it was just like a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety. I just lost who I was as a person, you know. So for me, it was just like, Shaquilla, you got to wake up and you got to get the ball rolling. I mean, you went through a lot in your life to just let this man break you down and tear you down to nothing. So, you know, I went through running away. I went through different stuff. You know, my mom being mentally ill, dad dying when I was 5. So, and spirit of rejection entered. You know, so I went through a lot of stuff. You know, to be who I am, where I am today, to have a man, you know, tell me I'm nothing, and beat me, and oh no. And like I said, God played a major role, because without him, I don't know where I will be, because sometimes I thought I was going, I didn't know if I was coming or going. Right. But when I began to pray, fast, and get in my word, you know, listen, I begin to see things move. I begin to see those giants fall, you know, and I begin to, you know that God is God. You know, I don't need a physical daddy here to love me. He loves me despite everything. He loves me despite all my faults. He gave me grace, you know. So that's where I'm at that point. I was just like, I can't do it. I can't allow this man to put his issues that he went through in his childhood, and I got to be the victim for it. No way. I will not be a victim for nothing that he went through. He has to deal with that healing, that process on his own. So that's where I got to that point. Like, oh no. But like I said, God, enough is enough. But God definitely played a huge part in my life, because without him, like I said, I am nothing. You know, so. And it got me to build my character, my integrity, and it even got me to pray more. You know, at first I was a weak prayer, but honey, when I got mad at the devil, I prayed like a Nigerian, like my husband, honey. And honey, when you gotta pray like you mad with the devil, baby. So I put my war clothes on and prayed, and you know, God is amazing. He is amazing. Amen. He is amazing.
Shaquilla, we gotta talk about that Nigeria. You know, I go to African church now, girl. We be beating some devils.
Shavonna, what about you, sis? That part of it, we didn't get to hear that part. How did your faith? What role did your faith play during your experience?
To be honest with you, I pray, but I'll be honest. When everything started happening first, that's the first thing that my relatives would tell me to do, to pray about it. Because they didn't want to deal with me having to tell them what was going on. So I honestly cut myself out of religion for those years. Because it's like, how do I pray and it's still going to keep happening? I prayed yesterday, the beatings got worse. What am I praying for? I had to step away from it for a little bit. And when it was time for me to get back to it, it was more to rebuild my strength so I can continue to move away from it. Because with our culture, that seems to be the first thing that people will say, oh, just pray about it, it'll fix itself. This isn't a situation where it'll fix itself. So
that's true.
No.
The last thing I wanted to do was to run to the altar with it, especially because in some cases the altar is the worst place to bring your problems, because it's going to reach the pastor's dinner table by nightfall. I left it alone. I'll say when I started going to where I go now on Sundays, even if I don't physically get there, I get there on the internet, things change a little bit being there, because it's like you've seen a different form of what religion should be. But my experiences before, I wasn't really on it. I had to take it on my own. Now, different story.
Right.
Because I understand that sometimes you do get put in positions to weather certain storms, and it's not in vain.
Right.
So, in that aspect, I'm thankful.
Okay. What
Because look where I
advice?
am. I'm able to help people.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and that's my next. What advice would you give to someone out there who's going through, they want to leave but they don't know, how to manage on their own. They don't know the first step to take. What advice would you give to them, ladies?
My advice, and I'm glad that this is even a topic.
Yeah.
My bigger sister, Shanice, shout out to WAPW. I know you hear me. One thing that we emphasize, don't start planning in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Make your plans outside.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that she had mentioned it earlier because it kind of triggered something that I didn't do. Because I didn't remember to keep my devices clean. Talk to people outside is my next suggestion. Don't be silent. Because people are so used to domestic disputes, and it's like, oh, it's just for today. No, let people be aware of what's going on. Have some type of eye communication, a signal, a secret word, something so somebody with an earshot knows you need help.
Wow.
Because this is not something that you can handle on your own. I don't care who says it. I had to have something set up. I had to sneak clothes outside so the neighbors would get it. I had to communicate with friends further off outside the state. Hey, I'm going through something. Who do you have that's in New York right now that could assist me? Because who I have right here in New York is not able to help me how you would. You have to go sometimes way out the box.
Right.
Tell the local authorities if you trust them. Talk to the school teachers. Talk to the people at the store. You don't even know that neighbor around the corner down the block. Holler at them, too, because they may be more of assistance to you than the person right next door. That's used to you. Because when I was going through the physical altercations, it was a man that never seen me a day of my life that ran down on my child's father and dragged him off me while I was 8 months pregnant, while he was trying to kick me and choke me and all that. He didn't know me from Eve, but he came and saved my life that day.
Wow. This was outside on the streets, Shavana?
Yep, in the streets, right in Rosedale. He left Far Rockaway, came to Rosedale, where I live, to attack me.
Oh, wow.
Jeez.
So you have to make it known of what's going on. Like, there's no such thing as your problem. We in the village, it's everybody's problem.
Yeah.
Because I don't know any of these people that's getting killed down south in other countries, but I feel that pain too. Like, that's my sister. You have to speak.
Right.
We have to wrap up a little, guys. Shaquilla, do you mind?
Give us
Oh yeah. I wasn't saying in a sense don't tell anybody your business. I was saying in a sense seek help. Seek help from like counselors, therapies, whatever, so forth and so on. Because how I did mine, I was outside of my home and I was planning with authorities from my children's daycare. The lady got me. She heard what I was going through, and she was like, you know what? I know somebody in a domestic violence shelter. She gave me numbers. I started building my numbers and my plan to exit at the children's daycare, and that's how I got in touch with the DV shelter. And then we took it from there. She was like, tomorrow, come here. You don't have to have clothes. Come with the clothes on your back. And we are open. We have space for you.
Right.
So that's how I exit. I exit as if I was going to the park and I never came back.
Smart. Real quick, Shavana.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
real quick, Shavana, before we go, you have a program. Do you just want to share your contact with us for those who are going through domestic violence, those who are looking for a way out? How can they contact you?
So if you're on social media, Asira Shabazz is my Facebook handle. It's also my Instagram. I'm always checking my messages. I'm getting most of my calls and stuff through there. My messages are through there. My number, I have no problem giving it out, 347-401-7166. Text me, call me. My line is forever open. If I can't get to you, somebody else will. We transport away from the location where you are. If you have no means of escape, we're coming. We got clothes on hand. We'll handle the paperwork the next day. Our mission is to make sure we save the life that's in danger.
Okay.
We can't always wait for 911.
Okay, and this is for all the boroughs, Shavana?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So,
Shaquilla, you have a podcast that you would like to talk about.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
I like I said, I have a book on Amazon called Cage Without a Voice by author Shaquilla Williams, Shaquilla, last name Williams. And my podcast is on Spotify. It's on iTunes. It's on Anchor. So you could just download the app, and you can find me by my name, simply Shaquilla. So, and on Instagram it's simply Shaquilla, and my Facebook is Shaquilla Chiamaka Anatobi.
Okay, thank you. We'll try to list those in the comments for later.
And if anyone is listening and would like to get in contact with either Shavana or Shaquilla, then just contact the radio station. Our number is on the spot somewhere.
It's 516-439-2428.
And just reach out to us, and we'll get you in contact with these ladies.
Ladies, it has been a pleasure talking to you. We thank you so much. We commend your strength for coming on here and discussing these personal matters, this journey. It's horrific. I'm glad that people are talking about it. More people are coming out and talking about it. I just want to tell you guys, continue doing what you're doing. Be strong, continue to fight. The impact is great. You guys are doing wonderful things for other women.
Absolutely. While you're going through the test, it's never nice. It doesn't feel good. But just know that you have gone through so that you can bring somebody out. And you are the hope for someone who's listening. Somebody is listening tonight who does not know how to come out of that situation. And just hearing your story will be, the courage they need to step out. And that's why we have Victory Session Live, so that we can share our testimonies. There's nothing. We know that it's painful, but we thank you so much for the courage, to share with us, because you know what? The Bible says that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of our testimony. So your testimony is helping somebody else, encouraging somebody else. And we just thank you, and we bless God for you guys tonight.
Amen.
Amen.
So I just speak strength over you guys. I pray, Shavana, that God will give you the grace to continue to do what you do. Shaquilla, we thank God you're out here encouraging people, thanking God for your love, your new hubby.
Yes.
Look at that, right from the pit to the palace.
Come on, somebody. Praise Him.
I'm so glad you guys are experiencing love. I'm just so happy for you. God is good. We don't always know what the test is, but we thank God that you are overcomer. And we thank you that today you guys have the victory.
And thank you, ladies, for having us on here. To share your guys' platform. I think you guys are doing an amazing job too. Whether it's domestic violence, breast cancer. Thank you so much, Nicole and Saran, for that.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. We thank you so much. God bless you guys. Have a wonderful week, and keep encouraging the people. Keep doing what you do. We're here if you ever need us, or we can be of any help. Feel free to just reach out.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Good night, ladies.
Good night.
But I'm stronger. You thought that I'd be broke without you, but I'm richer. You thought that I'd be sad without you, I laugh harder. Thought I wouldn't grow without you, now I'm wiser. Thought that I'd be helpless without you, but I'm smarter. You thought that I'd be stressed without you, but I'm chilling. You thought I wouldn't sell without you, sold 9 million. I'm a survivor, I'm not gon' give up, I'm not gon' stop, I'm gon' work harder. I'm a survivor, I'm gonna make it, I was survivor, keep on surviving. happiness. I'm better than that. I'm not gonna blast you on the radio. I'm better than that. I'm not gonna lie to you and your family. I'm better than that. I'm not gonna hate on you in the magazine. I'm better than that. I'm not gonna compromise my Christianity. I'm better than that. You know I'm not gonna dish you on the internet. Cause my mama taught me better than that. I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna work harder. I'm a survivor. I'm gonna make it. I will survive. Keep on surviving. I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna work harder. I'm a survivor. I'm gonna make it. I will survive. Keep on surviving. After all of the darkness and sadness, soon comes happiness. If I surround myself with positive things, how can prosperity? I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna work harder. I'm a survivor. I'm gonna make it. I will survive and keep on surviving. I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna work harder. I'm a survivor. I'm gonna make it. I will survive. Keep on surviving. I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna work harder. I'm a survivor. I'm gonna make it. I will survive. Keep on surviving. I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna work harder. I'm a survivor. I'm gonna make it. I will survive. Keep on surviving.
I will survive being fine. I will survive being sexy. I will survive being bootylicious.
Virginia Woolf and poetry, no one seemed to notice me. Being young was getting so old. Cheap beer and cigarettes, life was like a movie set, and I seemed to be given no role. But in times of trouble I can turn to my mother, and I know that she gon' understand. So at age 18 I cried to my mother, and she told me, young man, there are moments when you fall to the ground, but you are stronger than you feel you are now. You don't always have to speak so loud. No, just be as you are. And life is not always a comfortable ride. Everybody's got scars that they hide, and everybody plays the fool sometimes. Yeah, just be as you are. They played me on the radio, and everything was changing, so I thought I was all the way grown. But I could still remember in that cold November when I realized I'm all alone. But in times of trouble I can turn to my mother, and I know that she gon' understand. So at age 22 I cried to my mother, and she told me, young man, there are moments when you fall to the ground, but you are stronger than you feel you are now. You don't always have to speak so loud. No, just be as you are. It doesn't matter if you become some star. Life is better when you open your heart. You don't always have to act so hard. No, just be as you are. Just be as you are. Be as you are. Be as you are. If I'm speaking truthfully, I'm not who I used to be, and I know some people might laugh, 'cause my music